Hello, and welcome to Here We Go Cleveland, Week 12 edition. I'm your host, Bill Hebel. I'm here along with my co-host, Michael Zappa.
Hello.
Yeah, it's another exciting week. The Browns are turning away the haters, focusing on the W. Our win of the last win, 4 of the last 8, still in high hopes. There's still 7 games to win 4. So I first wanted to start off with a little, we don't really do this a lot. We usually jump right into the preview, but let's do a quick recap of the Week 10 game against the Lions. What were some of your takeaways on that game?
I mean, easily the most competitive we've been start to finish all year. I mean, I think defensively, offensively, both showed a lot of promise, but I think regardless, it all boiled down to 1 or 2 plays. And for me, it was, when you, like I said, like we've said all season long, it comes down to one, when you have a young team, momentum means more, in my opinion, than if you have a veteran team. So, like, momentum can completely change the way you compete and the way that you play the game. So to me, it was the conversion. I think it was a 3rd down conversion to Seth Duvall that he, kind of lowered his shoulder and got some extra yards and got stripped in return for a touchdown.
Right.
Like that, to me, at that point, I said, I don't know how it's going to myself. I said, I don't know how it's going to happen, but we're going to lose this game. And I'm going to come back to, like, I don't know if it's going to be by 7 points, 3 points, or 23 points, but at that point, I was like, you just can't have plays like that. And then on top of it, we had that debacle at the end of the first half when Kizer allegedly
audible,
non-allegedly audible, didn't whatever. So I don't know. Okay, so to me, like I said, all year long, it has seemed like there's been one critical play that we have to clean up.
Right.
And it seems like it could change the entire outcome of the game. And that was that play for me. But other than that, I mean, Kizer looked, I mean, I want to say great. I think that might be
great for a Cleveland quarterback in this scenario. We'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that given, again, going back to what he has around him, I mean, I think that that game, he really showed the potential and what he could be if you give him some decent weapons. I mean, right. I know we talked about last week what would make you happy. And I think I had made the change to saying I'm done looking at stats. I just want to see a win.
Yeah.
But obviously after this past week, I had to go back and look at the stats and I'm like, damn, I think he was something like,
he was 18 for 32. It's like 230 yards, touchdown, interception. Like, I think he had 7 carries for like over 50 yards and a touchdown there.
And the interception was bullshit. I mean, it was garbage time. And right. I did hear that, one of the local reporters here saying that afterwards he got into Ricardo Lewis for giving up on the play. And if you watch it back, Ricardo Lewis just kind of watched the ball sail over his head and made very little effort to try to knock it away. So, I think so. On the offensive side, I was very encouraged. Those 2 drives after halftime, I was like, "This is not the same team we watched the first." Oh my
gosh, yeah, the running game was like clicking like no other, and
at that point, I was listening to it on the radio, and I was like freaking out because I just couldn't believe that we were just marching down the field, and Isaiah Crowell was involved, Duke was involved, Kizer only had to throw the ball a couple times, and so that was really encouraging to me. And then on the defensive side, unfortunately, Jamie Collins getting hurt really sucks. And I know we've kind of been saying that he hasn't made a whole lot of like noise this year, but I think we're going to find out that he was like a silent killer.
Yeah.
Like he did so many like little things that you don't really notice watching the game that I think we probably will notice now. But man, those first couple drives with our defense fully healthy for the first time all year, that's exciting.
Great watching that.
That's exciting. So yeah, those were my, I guess, encouraged again. Right. I know we've used that word a lot, but
I'm going to give 2 quotes, and I think one of them happened before the Lions game, but one quote is from, Michael Vick, who, I don't know what the context was, but at some point said that, Deshaun Watson has the same tools that he has, but Michael Vick was getting the W's. And so, even to be compared to, with all the time...
Deshaun Watson or Deshaun Kaiser?
Deshaun Kaiser.
Come on, Bill. Come on. Anyway, I didn't hear that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So he said that about Kaiser, not Watson. We don't care about Watson. We care about him as a person, but not as an NFL player.
Right.
So, he said it about Kaiser, which is like, well, who cares about the wins? The Browns weren't really supposed to, win anything for a couple years when we got him. So for Michael Vick to, think and say that he has, the same moves and, feel for the football that Michael Vick has is just tremendous. And I, like you, I was, really really glad to see Kaiser put in a really great performance where, it was really other people making mistakes that had the Browns end up losing this game. The audible, whether or not that was his call to audible for the QB sneak before the end of the first half, that will go down. I already marked this down. That will go down as his worst play ever. I don't think there will ever be another play where it's just such a bad decision. I mean, it was second goal, so why don't they snap the ball, spike the ball, then stop the clock, and then you have 14 seconds left you could pass it twice if you want to go for a touchdown both times, or you can pass it once and then go for the field goal. I don't know. I mean, I know Hugh took the blame for the media, but then there are reports afterwards that said he went up to Kaiser and said, "Don't say anything about this because I took the blame for you." So that play. I was just I didn't understand at all what they were trying to do because they were moving the ball so well down there to try to score. I mean, if we could have got a touchdown there.
Agreed. I mean, if we could have got a touchdown there, I think it does have a chance to change the game, but I still don't think that's the reason we lost.
No.
But what I do, being a Browns fan, we talk about having to be eternal optimists, right? We have to make the best out of pretty shitty situations. Yeah. And what my spin, being a spinster with Browns news, my Browns spin is from that. What I think we
gained a half a yard on the play.
No, it would be very easy for him after that screw up, knowing you were so close to scoring to tie it up going into halftime, that to kind of clam up for the rest of the game and come out playing scared. And after that, I thought it spoke volumes to who, the character that he has and the competitiveness that he has in him, that he came out, got the ball, marched him down the field. Defense got to stop, got the ball, marched him down the field. To me, as a fan, after that, I had given up. And I have no pressure. I have no pressure on, whether they win or lose the game. So, to me, it makes no difference. But for him, he has all the pressure in the world, and he kind of seized the moment and was like, you know what? I'm going to put it behind me, and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to put a drive together. Now, given that was helped by the running game, but look, it all comes back to him. So that to me was will be so important in his growth if he ever becomes a true starter and a successful starter, that you have to have a short-term memory. You have to forget about
that's
the
really
last
true.
play and keep looking forward. So those first two drives were even that much sweeter, knowing that what happened at the end of the first half.
I think he knew as soon as, he was as soon as he tried to hurry up and then the spike didn't get off in time, he knew right away that was just a horrible decision. I just don't get, it was from the 3-yard line. What was he trying to, I just don't get what he was really, catch him off guard, but still, a running back can't even get 3 yards there.
The play before was his scramble, right?
Yeah.
It was his scramble so what, was it first and goal when he did that?
I think it was second and goal.
So anyway, either one play or two plays prior, he had that long, probably almost 20-yard run down to the 2-3 yard line.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
And I honestly think, being a kid, being 21, he was just so hyped up that he's I can take it in from here. And didn't realize that, a QB sneak from the 3-yard line, not exactly like a QB sneak from the half-yard line.
Yeah, in his head, he may have thought, he was a hell of a lot closer than the 3-yard line.
I honestly do. I just chalk that up to inexperience and, being a victim of the moment. Because I can, when you get that adrenaline rush, you played sports, you know how it is. Just thinking that you can do more than you actually can. And at the end of the day, you're still on the 3-yard line. 3-yard gain in the NFL isn't just a walk in the park for especially teams like the Browns. So,
right.
I think that's exactly what it was.
Just to clarify this. So he had the 3rd and 6 at Detroit's 20. He had a rush. That was a scramble for 18 yards to the 2-yard line, it says on ESPN. I'll edit out that I said that word. But
the
mothership. And then Detroit took a timeout with 19 seconds left. 1st and goal. He had that pass incomplete to Njoku. And then, he ran up the middle, and then Duke Johnson.
Wait, was that the pass that Njoku didn't get his foot down, or was that a different one?
That was,
yes. He caught?
He got 1 foot in. 1 foot in, but his second, or his left foot, I think, was not in.
I hope the Browns, unless it's to Josh Gordon, do not throw another fade in the end zone for the rest of the season. No, even to a tight end, to anyone. Every fade I've seen this year has either been intercepted, thrown out of the back of the end zone, or just severely inaccurate. It just doesn't work. Doesn't work.
I know. There was a Ringer article about, I think it was last year, about does the fade actually work? And it's unless you have even if you have Des Bryant, some of these cornerbacks that they can throw in there are 6'3", 6'4", that can basically win the jump battle. And it's I know we've tried at least 2 that I can remember to set the valve, and it's what are we doing? A couple more to, I think after that play they said these are routes that they have specifically made for Njoku. So they're definitely they know that when they get down there, if Njoku lines out to the side, it's gonna be a fade. Why don't they sometimes maybe line him up at the slot and run a slant with him? Or, maybe when they get Corey Coleman back, they'll have that when they get Corey Coleman and Josh Gordon back, they'll have that option to, have maybe Josh Gordon run a fade pattern, but then Corey Coleman on the opposite side running a slant, and they can hit Corey Coleman when they're down in the red zone. So, yeah, I don't want to see another fade like that. It's just, like you said, it's either intercepted or I think it's maybe worked once the whole season.
I don't even know if we've actually scored on a fade. I can't, we haven't scored a whole lot of touchdowns, so you kind of remember, you would think a fade would kind of stick out to you, but, I don't think we have the athletes to execute a fade. Maybe, like I said, maybe when Josh Gordon comes back, it's different, but.
Yeah, because if when they line Njoku out to the side there, it's probably a cornerback that switches to him. So that guy's faster and he's going to be able to get to the spot, which is like the toughest part of a fade, just getting to the right spot. Jumping, anyone can jump and put their arms up and knock the ball out. So, it'll be interesting. So my second quote that I'm taking away from this game is, I forget who the Detroit player was, but he said that the Browns have one of the most talented teams in the entire NFL. And
did he say talented or athletic? I thought he said athletic.
I think he said talented.
Said talented.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and he also said that, like, they're gonna surprise some people. And so I thought that was a really good takeaway. I don't know if they're gonna surprise anyone yet this year. Because, with Corey Coleman, and not that we knew that, Josh Gordon was going to be back this season, but I mean, our defense has been injured the entire year. Our offense, Corey Coleman's glass hands have been injured the entire year, and it seems like it's going to be, like week 12 before, and barring Joe Thomas, omitting Joe Thomas from this, but and Jamie Collins, I guess, people who went out for the season this year. But it's going to be like week 12 before we really get everyone back that's going to be a vital part of this team and like have them. So I think that like if we don't win a game before week 12, when Corey Coleman can really get in the offense together and Josh Gordon's back and the defense is playing really well. I think after week 12 if we don't win a game before then, like that's when we're gonna like really hit it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I thought the quote was they have better athletes than 24 out of the. I don't know if it was talent. I guess they can kind of be used interchangeably, but my thought when I first heard it, because I heard it, I think it was that Glover Quinn guy who said it.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And
Glover Quinn. Yeah, he said they have top 10 talent.
Top 10 talent.
Yeah.
Because to me, again, that's encouraging because you can, if the talent is there, but it's raw, I think you can have raw talent. And I think we have a lot of raw talent that just needs to be like fine tuned and developed.
Yeah.
And I'm just especially on the defensive side of the ball, like we're almost there. And I know
exciting to watch.
After 20 years, I guess, I've become a bigger Browns fan in the last 3 or 4 years. I don't know why, but I've honestly become a bigger Browns fan. And when you watch the games, you just see little traces of what we need to build on. Like you see little glimpses of the defensive line and linebackers being very solid. But you obviously know for them to maximize their ability, you have to have some help on the back end. They all work together, right? And the same thing on the offensive side. Like I think our offensive line started to come together, and then Joe Thomas got hurt. Now Sean Coleman's hurt. So, but we saw a little glimpse of what the
Treader.
Yeah, J.C. Treader. I mean, we had 200 yards rushing this past week. Like, I just, everyone is so quick, and I know there's a short leash in the NFL, but everyone's so quick to say, let's fire Hugh, let's fire the front office, let's do this, let's do that. But I don't know. I'm not there yet because I think with a few tweaks and some talent added in free agency, maybe rather than the offensive line this year, we spend some money on, defensive backs and we get, like we talked about last week, Josh Gordon at 60% becomes our best receiver. Now he bumps everyone down a notch. So everyone is against someone less talented during the game.
Right.
And I think the same holds true for defensive back, right? Like I think our defensive backs are weak And if we were to sign one guy and like a premier guy in free agency, that bumps everyone down. So it's like it has more of an impact than just on that position. So
definitely, the thing is like, and it's hard to look at it, because we have the money to spend, but how many players, to convince them to come to the Browns. And if you can convince some kind of maybe guys that are, they're over their rookie deals and they're looking to really make a statement, like, hell, we should pay them, come to the Browns. Like this, I think, 2018 is going to be like, I don't know if it's not a playoff year yet, but 2018 is definitely going to be a year to build off of and then like really fine tune. Cause like you said, everything's so raw and like we're still just like sculpting out and figuring out which positions really need, like which basically position groups need upgraded. But I think 2018 and after that season, we'll be building towards, what specialties do we need to be upgraded at? What like skill players do we really need to, reevaluate and upgrade? So I think that's really promising that we have that to look forward to.
Yeah. I want to make this kind of a weekly question. I need to write this down now that we're on the downside of the 2017 season. I think every week, based on DeShone Kizer's performance, we just need to have a quick minute to talk about if the draft were today, and we don't want to talk about draft, but if the draft were today, I don't want to talk about it in terms of players or where we pick, blah, 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 but would you draft a quarterback first overall? Today we would have the number one pick. Would you draft a quarterback?
No.
Do you want me to go? Okay, great.
I'm already going to say it. No.
I
go
agree.
Ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Watching DeShone Kizer this past week, and even the entire year, like, he had a really shaky start, but he's so young, and, I think he's starting to show that he is something to build around. Now, it's way too early to say, like, well, is he the Browns' savior, franchise savior, or is he the guy that's going to take us, back to, the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl or whatever? I don't know, but I don't think, maybe the Browns, I don't know, the Browns aren't even close to being there yet. So I don't think it's fair to start thinking about how Deshaun Watson will play out in those games.
Kizer.
I don't know what I'm doing here. So I just really think he's shown a lot to build on. And once we get our running back game is we have the sixth best rushing rank in the NFL this season. So even thinking that, we could take like Saquon and improve that even more, it's just crazy. I would not.
And I would add to that, I think the difference to me, the draft always comes down to luck, I think, right? And I think one thing that can separate a player having success in the NFL and a player not is his intelligence and his I don't know if emotional stability is the right word, or like mental toughness, or I don't know what the exact word is, or confidence, but DeShone Kizer has been through some shit. He's a young kid, and he's been through some shit this year, and at Notre Dame. He went
like 4-7 there, so like, he already felt the.
When you think about like the things that he's been, and we talked about this early in the season, it was more at a level of, okay, let's compare Deshaun Watson versus DeShone Kizer from a playmaker, like from a team standpoint. So the Texans had better receivers. Probably, let's say the running game was neutralized. The defense was obviously better on the Texans early in the season. But when you just step back now and get more in depth and say, okay, he was probably playing earlier than he should have because he was 21 years old. And early on, I think Hugh Jackson, I think he did a bad job of calling the plays right. I think he gave him too much too soon, so he was overwhelmed. Yeah. And I think in the last 2 games, the reason that you've seen him look a little better is because I think Hugh is maybe limited the play calling a little bit, and he's made a better game plan. Hugh's not calling a game the same game that he would call if he was coaching Joe Flacco again, or whoever. So I think that's helped him out. I just look back, and I haven't made a list, but you think about all the shit that Kaiser's had to, the benchings, right?
Right. Oh my gosh.
The inept wide receivers, just there's probably 5 to 10 things that you can point out that said, it's probably better if we would have done this differently.
Right.
And the fact that he just keeps getting back up, and he has a positive attitude, and he's still very positive, joking and leading this team, I just think speaks so much to what he could be for our team.
Yeah,
I mean, that impresses me so much. And I think that unless you had the ability to back it up, you couldn't do that because you just wouldn't have the confidence. So that's what's encouraging me. And I agree with you. I would not take a QB first overall or 8th overall at this point. I think I would use it to develop both picks to develop either our offense or defense. So, I mean, we have, as we talked about, just one last thing. I mean, between the draft and free agency, we could realistically have 5 to 8 new starters on the Browns next year, sprinkled in to offense and defense somehow.
That's crazy.
Because we have 5 picks and a ton of cap room. So let's say 2 or 3 people in free agency.
I mean, and think, I like to think in terms of numbers. If this 2017 Browns team has one Detroit Lions player saying that we have top 10 talent in the league, with this draft, the Browns could easily double that and get 2 Detroit Lions players saying that we have top 10 talent in the league. And I think if you just continue to build the rumor in Detroit that we have, maybe all the Detroit players will eventually become Browns players, and then there will be no Detroit Lions, and they'll just all be the Browns. Or at least we can not have the helmet logo anymore. But that's my numbers thing. If the Browns can double the amount of people in the NFL that say that they have top 10 talent, I mean, that just speaks words for how they're moving as an organization.
Yeah.
So before we move outside of
go ahead.
I don't think we've ever said the words college football on this podcast, but so with the number 1 pick, let me read you the top 5. This is Sports Illustrated's draft board right now. So, and I just want to ask you who you would take with the number 1 pick. So we have Minkah Fitzpatrick, defensive back out of Alabama, Bradley Chubb, an edge defensive end from North Carolina State, Saquon Barkley, Penn State, Quentin Nelson, who's a guard from Notre Dame, and Sam Darnold. I'll leave out, so the next two are quarterbacks, and you have Denzel Ward, who's a cornerback for Ohio State. Who would you take with that number 1 pick?
So, are those in order, the draft board?
Yeah. But I think, the difference between, I think Minkah is, kind of head and shoulders above anyone else in the defensive in the secondary thing, so he's much more of a 1 pick. I think Denzel Ward, and there's another player from a safety from Alabama that kind of, they definitely are in the bottom of the top 10.
Man, that's tough. I think I would have to go Saquon Barkley.
Really?
I think I would have to. And the only person that I would be drawn to other than that is Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Because I just think that obviously I would also like another stud defensive end, but I think Agba right now that's our strength. That's our only strength. And I think another year with Agba, a second year with Myles Garrett, I think that's going to continue to be a strength. So as much as I would love to take a defensive end high, because they say like the pillars of a team are a great left tackle, right? One great corner, pass rusher, and obviously your quarterback. Those are like the four staples, right? So we already have one blue chip pass rusher in Myles Garrett, and I think Agba is showing that but I would love to have the luxury of having a third, because
oh my gosh.
I think because pressure on the quarterback can make your defensive backfield that much better. So, but when I think about team need and I think about who I think would impact our team the most, I go to Saquon Barkley because I've heard he's such like a charismatic and stand-up player. I think we really need players like that to change the culture with Cleveland.
Yeah, I think that's a really good call. And do you make that pick, because Crowell can leave this year.
Yeah.
So I say you let him go, take Saquon, and then with wherever the Houston pick ends up, take the best defensive player available, whether that's an edge rusher, a linebacker, or a defensive back.
If I had to do it today, and I can't believe we're getting into the draft, Bill, in week.
This is your 1 minute segment drawn out.
Okay. Because you know how hyped I get about the draft, but if I had to do it today, we'd have pick 1 and 8.
Yeah.
And if I could get Saquon Barkley and Calvin Ridley as a receiver, that's who I would pick. And then in my 3 second round picks, I would pick best defensive player available. Get D-backs, get corners, or if I could trade up and trade up back into the first round and get a free safety to play with Jabril Peppers, or get a number 1 corner or something like that. Yeah. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
But because when I think about free agency, I think it goes hand in hand with the draft, right? So what you can't get done in the draft, you try to get done in or vice versa, whichever comes first. I guess free agency, I think, comes first, right? So,
right.
So I think I would not want to sign a free agent wide receiver, because I think they always end up screwing the Browns over.
Right.
I.e. Kenny Britt, i.e. Dwayne Bowe. There's probably 10 more that we could probably go into.
Braylon Edwards.
Yeah. Well, he was a draft pick, but
he might as well have been a free agent.
I just think that I would rather draft a wide receiver and sign a DB than the other way around. So that's why I'm thinking that way. I think just straight up offense in the first round at this point. But that could all change if Josh Gordon and Corey Coleman put it together these last 5 games and they just blow us away, and then that could change my opinion very much. Where I'm like, wow, I feel because we still have, regardless if Josh Gordon keeps it together, we still have another year of him under contract. So yeah. What about you? 1-8.
As the season stands today, I think I'd have to take Fitzpatrick.
Yep.
At 1. I just think Saquon, I think he's one of those players that, and he may turn this completely around in the NFL, but I think he's one of those players that looks exceptional in college, but maybe it won't translate. Cause I don't know, like Zeke, you could tell in college that he was going to be just like beating up on NFL guys, and I don't get that same feeling from Saquon, so I think that, just bolstering up that defense. Because also, like, a running back's career in the NFL is so iffy. They're only around for maybe 5 or 6 really good seasons anymore. And so getting the safe, and so you can, there's so many running backs this year that have kind of like surprised people and came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So you can, and safeties don't really do that. Like really good safeties, they don't come around very often. And I think, you can never go wrong, drafting an Alabama player. They always come in, like, they'll work the hardest. They already know, like, I'm sure their playbook is maybe more complicated than the NFL playbook. College football is usually, 3 to 4 years ahead of the NFL in terms of how they use guys, how they position people, what their play calling is. So, I think he would just be a real asset. Have him play alongside Peppers, and then with McCourty, and I don't know if you draft another cornerback or something like that. But so he would be my number 1 guy, and then 8's hard to tell because if you get a sense from Joe Thomas that maybe he's done, then maybe you go with a tackle there, and a tackle that could play right tackle until Joe Thomas is retired, and then switch over to left tackle. I think Notre Dame has a really good, I forget his name, but they've got a really, really good tackle that they could play there. Or you could, once you shore up either the safety, I think you go defense first pick though. And then once you shore that up, you could take Calvin Ridley. You go Minka and Calvin Ridley. I think that would be. I think this is going to be a draft that maybe would kill us even more than last draft because there are so many options for the Browns to take that can really improve different areas of their teams.
Well, and here's the other thing, Bill. So what I've seen about the draft is that it's top heavy. Like there's some really good players at the top, but then the second layer, there's a big drop off. So what if theoretically we could package those 3 second round picks into probably a top 10, top 15 pick?
Yeah.
So could you imagine getting Saquon Barkley, Ridley, and Minka Fitzpatrick?
Oh my gosh!
For next, and that's 3 picks in the first 2 rounds.
Right.
I would take that over 5 any day. Like, give me 3 starters that I know. Give me 2 Alabama players and the best running back in the country. Like, let's go.
Yeah, that would be great.
So anyway, I don't want to get too carried away with the draft.
Let's end this 1 minute segment that started 12 minutes ago. So where are we at now? Okay, so we were talking about just Kizer and what our
well, it all started off by saying, would you draft a quarterback if the draft was today? And right now, we both said no. Based off.
Although I've seen a couple mock drafts that have us taking quarterbacks. So
yeah, based off one thing, I think we're both basing that off of one thing, and that's progress, right? Like
exactly.
There's a noticeable difference in the last 2 games, Vikings and Lions, as opposed to those middle games and I think it's not only Kizer's play, but I think it's finally Hugh realizing that I can't give him a full playbook. Like, I just can't do it. I think he asked too much of him, too soon. So, really optimistic about Kizer. I'm really hoping because early in the preseason, Coleman and him had a really great chemistry.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that comes back and Coleman can provide a little boost. And then obviously the following weeks, with Josh Gordon adding in. But again, I want to just touch on the fact that our remaining schedule is not that difficult.
No.
I honestly don't see a game on the schedule other than the Steelers if they're playing fully at full
they
strength,
beat
and they have
Colts by 3. So
So even that game, like, I don't. Again, At the end of the day, this is the NFL, right? And everyone gets paid.
We said a 12-minute college football segment.
So I just look at this. I look out at the upcoming schedule, and not one team do I say, "Oh yeah, there's no Patriots,
there's no Eagles,
there's a few teams." There's no Eagles. There's a few teams in the NFL that I would say, okay, you know what? I have 0% faith that we can beat them.
Right.
And like the Saints right now, I don't think we'd have a shot against the Saints. The Patriots, I don't think.
Eagles, probably
the Eagles,
the Rams.
Yep.
But outside of really those top four, I mean, I don't know of anyone else that really, really, really scares you or you could mark down that they're.
Yeah.
I mean, if Green Bay had Aaron Rodgers, they would be on that list. But
yeah, I agree. Yep.
But no other team, like you can easily mark down that the Browns that for any like bottom tier team that can automatically lock those in. It's getting
this back half of the schedule. The two teams that scared me the most were Detroit because of their explosive offense versus our secondary.
Yeah.
And honestly, this week against the Jaguars.
Yeah. It'd be very interesting to see how Kaiser plays against this defense because the Jaguars have arguably one of the best defenses in the NFL. So, and they can come at you from rushing, and pass, receiver.
Pass defense, yeah.
Pass defense. So.
What do you think about Tashawn Gibson's comments?
He spells his last name with a P, so I'm pretty sure that just like nullifies anything that he says. But whatever. I mean, he's just trying to attract either some negative media or just trying to get in the Browns players' heads. And it's just like, no.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, my dad always said the scariest team is a team with nothing to lose. And I think when you're in this position of Tashawn Gibson, you have everything to lose. Okay. Yeah. You've been a terrible franchise the last 10 years. You're 6-3 this year. And I don't know why. And you know what? He may be able to back it up. And maybe the defense is as good as it's ranked right now. But like I said, I don't know why you would give a team like the Browns more motivation, because they obviously already have the motivation of being 0-9, but it would just make it that much sweeter if they could kind of silence that hate and silence that doubt
right.
this week. Like I as a fan, I'm hating the Jaguars more. Usually, I didn't hate Detroit. I don't hate Detroit.
Yeah.
I really like Matt Stafford, but it's not, he made it like personal.
Right. I don't know why he had to go that far. Like he is in the NFL because the Browns signed him as a free agent because he went undrafted. So it's like, why are you completely attacking, I don't know, the franchise that gave you the start?
Yeah, but he made some bold comments about hanging 40, them going 0-16, and Kaiser making all these mistakes. So God, I would just love it. It would be that much sweeter if Kaiser could just go out there, I know he's not going to pick them apart because they have a lot of talent on that defense, but just put together a similar game as last week.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
Blake Bortles doesn't scare me.
Blake Bortles. Bring it on. I would rather have Deshaun Kaiser any day of the week. Hell, I would even rather have Deshaun Watson with the injury over Blake Bortles.
Yeah. Freaking and Blake Bortles has the nads to say, "Hey, my advice to you," because Kaiser leads the league in interceptions.
Right.
I think.
Right.
Throw it to your team more than the other. Okay, you're one to talk, Blake
Mr.
Bortles.
Pick Six.
Yeah.
He's basically Matt Schaub in a different body.
Yeah. So I just hope that, man, it would. To me now it makes the game that much more interesting because honestly, prior to like this week, I didn't dislike the Jaguars. Like I like they're a smaller market team. They built a really solid defense. Like I like the way they built their team. It gives teams like us hope, right? Because they were terrible. They're building up. But then when you go and do that, you would think that they would have how soon they forget when they were in that position.
Exactly.
Right? And now it's like, it would just be awesome for us to get our first win against them.
So, not to harp on hanging 40, but I just want to get into this. So, Jacksonville has, for the Browns game, they have their longest injury list of the season. And actually, like 5 of those guys on the injury list are starters for the offense. So, it doesn't look like Allen Hurns is going to play. They have Marquise Lee has been limited at practice with a knee injury. I know that Leonard Fournette, he is even out with he had ankle problems at LSU, and he seems to be, he was limited and he looks like it probably will be maybe he'll get, promoted to full practice on Friday, but they have a lot of injuries. I think there was a tackle, one of their starting right tackles that's also probably not going to play. So they have a lot of injuries to deal with. I think that really, I think the Browns. Not to make my pick yet, but I think the Browns have a very good shot this week at knocking off a team that people are really turning their backs on this game for.
Well, yeah, and to me, I guess it boils down to a prolific offense and an elite quarterback scares me more than an elite defense. And maybe I'm dead wrong in that. That defense wins championships, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I am more scared by a guy like Matt Stafford stepping back there and dissecting our young defense than having a guy like Blake Bortles. Like, I'll take my chances because this is a game I feel like, 14 points could win you the game.
Oh yeah.
I think everyone knew going into the Detroit game that you're going to have to score some points if you want to have any, and they ended up scoring 38.
Right.
And we scored 24, which was more than I thought we would.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, whereas this week, I think realistically it could be a 10-14 game, and especially with the offensive injuries you just mentioned, like it could be in the weather, we got the weather working for us. It's supposed to snow, and weather's a great neutralizer. So, look, I know we're the spinsters, we're the Brown spinsters, but I'm intimidated by Jacksonville's defense, no doubt. I really like Jalen Ramsey. I like that Bowie, whatever his name is, from that cornerback.
Yeah.
They have an awesome defensive line. Tashawn Gibson is not the reason that I'm scared, but he can take credit for it. But I'd be much more concerned if they had an elite quarterback, and they just don't.
They do not. Yeah, that's very clear.
Do you think that Blake Bortles is the worst quarterback we faced all year so far? Jacoby
Brissett is pretty bad. Who else have we played? Ben,
Flacco, Dalton, Brissett, Stafford, Keenum.
Keenum's actually playing pretty good, yeah. I think Blake Bortles. I think every NFL team that has played Blake Bortles this year can say that he's the worst quarterback that they've played. Gibson's to say we're going to hang 40 on us, that's going to have to be like 6 Leonard Fournette touchdowns. Blake Bortles isn't throwing touchdowns on us. And with the Browns, they are second in the NFL, and I think they're first in the NFL in rushing DVOA. I think they're first in rushing yards allowed per game. And, knock on wood, because every time that a stat is given like this, it blows up in your face. But, they're only letting, I think, like 86 yards a game rushing. So, with Leonard Fournette's injury, I don't see, in all the injuries I mentioned, I don't see the Jaguars putting, this is probably the first cold weather game they've played all year. So I could see it being, down both teams in the 20s, or below the 20s, in a very close, tough fought game. So we've roundaboutedly, is that a word? Roundaboutly
yes,
talked about
it is
this.
Now.
Talked about this game. Let's get into one of our main segments. Who are your players to watch Week 11, home for the Jags?
Well, I think you got to go Corey Coleman. It would be fantastic to see Corey Coleman just give a true boost to this offense. I saw Hugh said that he doesn't expect him to be limited for any reason. He thinks he can handle a full workload, which I'm really excited about. So,
did we have to? You didn't pour one out for Kason Williams at the beginning of the podcast.
Oh, damn! Yeah,
is that your player to watch as he walks away from the Brown sideline this week?
Shout out to my waived homie Kason Williams.
Man.
Much love from your boy here in Westlake, Ohio. Good luck on your trip back to Washington. I know your neighbor. So definitely pouring one out for him. Hopefully he gets signed somewhere, because obviously I think he was a bit underutilized here in Cleveland, but best of luck to him. So
he's going to turn into like that Taylor Gabriel case where like we drop him and he's going to,
You're exactly right. So go eat some Oberto beef jerky, and good luck to you. But yeah, that was one of my favorite players, one of my favorite pickups, after the cuts back in September. But
we'll have to hire an intern to go back and see if I mentioned David Njoku more times than you mentioned Kason Williams.
Or if you mentioned,
Sean Watson?
Hogan.
Oh,
Hogan.
Yeah. Hogan.
But, so yeah, on offense, it's Corey Coleman, and I hope that we can get the running game going somehow. So I'll just say the running game in general. And then on defense, I'm looking to, I believe it's James Burgess.
Yes.
He has some big shoes to fill with Jamie Collins out. So, I'm going to keep an eye on him, because I think Schobert has been very impressive all year. I think obviously you know what you'll get with Kirksey. So I'm just looking to see if Burgess is going to be, kind of maintain our ability at the linebacker position, if he's going to be a significant drop off, or if he, obviously I don't think he'll be an improvement, but, and damn, would I love to see Jabril Peppers make a game-changing play, whether it be a sack or an interception, or I just feel like there's so much athlete there, and we're just not not maximizing it whatsoever. I'm just like, damn it. I just want to see that maximized somehow.
Maybe we should just put Duke Johnson's jersey on him and then line him up in the backfield.
Honestly.
And give him a handoff.
Yeah. Just see what he can do. So I guess Coleman, running game, Peppers, and Burgess. Those are my dudes. Okay. Those are my dudes this week.
I'm going to start back on the offensive side, and it's a group, my group to watch is the offensive line. I think, Minnesota, Detroit, because Minnesota was the first game that Joe Thomas was out, I believe. And so,
yep.
They've had those two. Detroit's probably more of an average defensive line, but Minnesota's has a great defensive line. So those two games have really prepped this Browns offensive line to work together, and they had a great running game last week. And I just, I want to watch them protect Kaiser because he seems to be able to make great decisions and throws when he has time to sit in the pocket. Now, sometimes that, 2% of the time that leads to him just holding the ball too long. But most of the time he's making a great play either with his feet, or with his arm. So the offensive line, especially with Jacksonville's defense coming into town, I really think that they need to, almost my group player to prove this week, is the offensive line, except for Sean Coleman. But I have seen some reports that, he may be able to play. I thought you had to, I don't know. I thought you had to have at least 7 days after your concussion to clear it, but, maybe the rules have changed, but.
I pray that he can, because that'll hurt big time.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to get there. I really hope so. And then on the defensive side, it's easy to pick Agba or Garrett, but, I really just want to see our linebacker core, and maybe this is my week to pick groups of people. I really want to see our linebacker core, be able to, it's going to be fascinating watching them stop Fournette, because the Browns' defensive line is great at stopping the run, but when they get into the secondary and, they are top notch at, short yardage run, stopping the run. But when those running backs get 5 to 10 or 10 plus yards, the Browns become much more of an average rushing defense. So, especially with Fournette, who seems to be a guy that can, break a lot of tackles and really has great speed for the size of running back he is, to have that linebacker core be able to stop him, in those, 5 to 10, that second level, rushing defense would be really great. And also, Browns cornerbacks are gonna, even though it is one of the weakest points of our team, they are gonna, easily shut down Bortles. So I'm glad that I can finally watch Bortles play against my team, and I can just smile the entire time that he drops back for a pass.
Yeah. It's a nice feeling.
Those are my guys to watch. O-line, linebackers, and just laugh at every Bortles pass.
And I want to make another point that last year we suffered through Kessler starting for us for 8 games.
You know what his QBR this year is?
What?
6.
Okay. So, man, how quickly you forget how bad he must have been last year when you watch Kaiser come play the way he played this first half, watch him come in for 2 series and watch Kaiser come back in, because I can't believe the difference. I can't believe we watched that. I would rather have Kaiser every day. I would rather have an interception than an 8-yard sack. I would rather have Kaiser trying to make a play and get tipped and incomplete or intercepted than not have a chance to win the game at all.
Right.
And that was just so frustrating this past weekend when I was watching the game, and it was just it's unbelievable that Kessler just get rid of the ball.
Right.
It's that simple. You don't have to complete it. Just get rid of it. And in 6 plays, I think he took 3 sacks, and man, anyway, thank God we have someone like Kaiser, because I do think there's a ton of potential there. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I really agree.
I would add him to my players to watch, because I think it goes without saying, but just to make it clear, if he can put any sort of game together, win or lose like he did this past week, I think we're building something, right? So
right.
anything close to what he's done the past 2 weeks, limited turnovers and, a touchdown, rushing, whatever.
Yeah, has made some great plays. I think they need to do now. A couple of the design runs that they had for him, I was a little shaky on if they were the right calls. But one, he needs to learn a little better of. I mean, I think he has got the feeling of when to slide and when not to. But he took some pretty good hits against Detroit when he didn't slide. But he does a great job scrambling, and I think they need to. We said this at the very beginning of the year. Maybe they're going to start doing it now, but now that the running game is really running on all cylinders, if they can get some play action into the offense and really get him moving outside the pocket, I think that's where he excels because he does have that scramble ability where he can pick up a couple extra yards if he doesn't see anyone open at all. I think Kaiser and as long as they're all healthy, Kaiser and Garrett are two players that we're always watching every week, even though if we don't say we are. So we've got a new segment this week. No new theme music. Maybe we'll put like a little news thing, like the ticket segment, the Zappa ticket segment.
Yeah, so
hit our fans with the deals that
I'll just jump in here. So, it's been 20 years since the Browns came back, and historically they've been pretty bad. So, interestingly enough, I think across all of pro sports, NFL tickets tend to be the highest. Whether you're in the nosebleeds or a great seat. Relative to other professional sports,
right? At least
NFL
number
tickets,
of games, and
at least number of games. So you don't have as many opportunities, supply and demand, right? So a couple weeks ago, actually probably 2 months ago, I noticed that I always checking up on my StubHub app what I could buy tickets to a Browns game for, and something
not
great
sponsored,
about.
But we wouldn't mind a sponsor from StubHub.
So something that is always great about summer baseball is, you can get a nice bleacher seat for maybe $10-15 and you can have a good time. But not the same with football because usually the cheapest ticket you can get is $50-60. But anyway, doing some research a few weeks ago, I found that tickets were being offered at not 50, not 40, not 30.
Has to be 20.
No, not 20. Not 15, not 10, but $6.
$6.
$6 for a ticket to an NFL game. So,
wow.
for home games, Bill and I thought that it might be good to just give you an update on what the latest tracker is on what, if you choose to go to the game this week, what you get a ticket for. So, the last few weeks it's been $6. So if I go ahead and search Browns versus Jaguars.
Yeah, let me just say this while you're searching. I went to Browns versus Titans, and that was kind of the first game where people had really started to, season ticket holders or people who are reselling, really started to just take anything that they could get for tickets. And so, at that time, I think these $6 ones are in the upper deck, but I was able to get 4 tickets, 3 rows back on the Browns sideline for $37 a piece. So
wow,
it's like,
yes.
I think those tickets regularly are like $135 or $160. It's like,
yeah. So anyway, this week's best value according to StubHub is, and prices are up. So brace yourself.
$8?
$7.14.
Wow.
For section 531, row 22. So, I mean, at that point, 2 tickets to the Browns game cost you as much as a couple coffees.
Where else in the NFL can you pay more for parking than you can to get into the game?
Yeah, exactly. So at this point, I can't even begin to tell you the things that would cost me $7 in my life. I mean, whether you talk about parking or coffee or lunch, I mean, you can't get anything for $7 anymore. So, no. But what you can get for $7 is 10 tickets to the Browns game this Sunday. Those are all seats together for $7.14. So if you're not doing anything this Sunday, go out, show your support. It's my mom's birthday, so I won't be there. Shout out both of our mom's birthdays this weekend. So shout out Darlene and Sherry. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah, I mean, grab your friends, have them pitch in Venmo you $1 for those seats, or don't grab your friends and buy a whole damn section to yourself. You could probably buy a whole section to yourself for like $100.
Yeah.
I mean, that may be our news segment, is how expensive is it to buy an entire Browns section.
Even if I want to just sit by myself in a section by myself, it might be worth the experience.
I think it really would be. You could sit in the middle. You could sit first row.
Do you have the line for this week, Bill?
Yeah. So the line this week is it opened. I don't know if it's changed. Since there's been a couple injury reports and stuff. I don't think it really has changed. But so Jacksonville is favored by 7.5. That's the line right now. Puts it right in a sweet spot, doesn't it?
So my rule has been I will not pick the Browns to win or against the spread until they win and prove me wrong. Okay. However, I'm willing to make an exception because of Tashawn Gibson and the arrogance that I feel that defense carries.
Yeah.
So because it would be such a sweet victory for us to pull it off, I'm going to pick the Browns with the spread, not straight up. I think they will cover the spread, but I still don't think they will win. Yeah. So that's my pick. And that's hard for me to do because I made a vow that I would not pick the Browns against the spread or to win until they won and prove me wrong. But anyway,
I'm going to do you one better. And this is when this week 12. Is this week 12? Yeah. No,
it's week 11.
Week 11. Ohio against the world. The Browns are going to shock the world this week because the world will be watching. They always watch when the Browns play. The Browns
for $6 tickets, of course. Of course, they're going
to easily. Your plane tickets. I mean, that's $6 is less than the drink you're going to buy on the plane. So,
yeah,
flying in from everywhere, across the continent. The aliens are going to visit for this game. Browns 17, Jags 14.
Whoa.
I'm calling it. 2 Leonard Fournette touchdowns. Blake Bortles does shit. Blake Bortles is going to be like 6 for 21 with 88 yards and 2 picks.
Aggressive.
Browns first win. Browns first win.
Though. I love it. It'll be, like I said, this is probably the 100th time I've said it this podcast, but because of those comments from Sean and their defense, I think this has the makings of a little bit of a trap game because they forget.
We are Iowa. They are Ohio State.
Yeah, they forget how not that long ago they were in a similar position. So they don't have the experience.
Yeah, Gibson was literally in that position.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Jaguars last year were not great. So
no. Yeah.
Good on you for picking the Browns to win straight up.
I feel great now, but I don't know if I'll feel great. If they lose, I'm still going to feel great because the Browns they're going to look good and they're going to progress no matter what happens this game. So,
cheers to that.
Cheers to that. All right, that wraps up Week 11 edition of Here We Go Cleveland. It's been a blast as always, but getting late on Thursday night as we record this. So, let's call it a night. Thanks everyone for watching. Listening, I guess. I've been
watching with your ears.
I've been watching with your ears. You're visualizing a picture of everything that we say. You're visualizing that Blake Bortles getting sacked by Myles Garrett, probably 6 to 12 times in the first half. And so, thanks again for everyone listening that made it to this point. You are especially we're forever indebted to anyone that makes it to past the hour mark in our podcast. So
hit us up, give us a review, and we'll send you a T-shirt.
Woo! It may not be a T-shirt with our logo on it. It'll just be a T-shirt, but we will send you something out of our freshly washed out of our closets. Let's see. Shout out Kason Williams. We'll miss you.
Pour one out.
Yeah, pour one out for Kason. And I think that does it this week. So I got the Browns winning. Wow, I'm kind of in like a mind-numbing state right now that I actually said those words. But
God,
I
hope
think
you're right, Bill.
Before I've only taken them against the spread. I don't think I've called the all out.
If they win straight up like you predicted, I think we're going to have to record the pod earlier next week because I'm going to be too excited. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves now, but as info.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. See you, Michael.
Yep. See ya.
Bye. 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 Bye.